Okay, hi everyone. Good evening and welcome to Ganeta Art School. Today's free class is going to be about portfolios. Just for a quick introduction, my name is Eli Shiba for short, and I'll be hosting this class. So, just in case we spend more than 40 minutes, we're going to have to rejoin the call. Just a little just a little disclaimer before we get to that point. And then if you guys have questions along the way, you can just note down your questions. There'll be a Q&A session after the lecture. Um, Daniel Ade Jesu Shegun is a graphic designer and also a brand designer. He also does video editing as well. And he has done well with his own personal portfolio as a freelancer, right? And he's going to be sharing with us everything that he knows about building a good portfolio as a freelancer, or even if you're an agency or as a designer in general. So I'm going to hand over to him. So Daniel, you can take over from here.
Okay, so my name is Daniel Shegun, right? And I'm not much of a graphic designer per se, but then yes, I still do design. I'm much more of like an editor, but now I've been transitioning into like building products and product development, more or less like that, right? And I'll be talking about how I'm building your portfolio for better positioning, right? And this is kind of like one part of an entire topic of, okay, how do you build your skills, position yourself, get remote jobs and all that, and like, but then building a portfolio is a very important part, right? So let me just get straight to it. So what is a portfolio and how do you build it? Right. So a portfolio is kind of like how would I explain it? A grand total of like what you are. So it can be anything. Let's say you're a graphic designer, you're a video editor, you're a full stack developer, you are a brand designer. I'm taking more of design because of, I think most of us here are probably designers, or if not, like any skill you are, portfolio is like a grand total of, okay, what you've done in that particular field, and like kind of like a structured layout of showing people that, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I can do. And portfolio can be on any platform. Possibly it can be like a website, right, which we're going to go into later. It can be like your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile can be a portfolio, right? So it depends on how you optimize your LinkedIn profile and going into putting up your featured section so that people can actually see projects that you've worked on, and also like places you've worked in and all that. That can be your portfolio in a sense, kind of like a digital representation of your CV, right? So instead of, oh, just the one-page CV, your portfolio kind of like shows much more details of what you've done and what you're doing and what you're up to, like intricate details, right? And there's no, I won't say there's like a structured way of, oh, this is how portfolio is meant to be. But then for portfolios, most times, right, it's not really about like a whole lot of people actually find it difficult to say, okay, they want to build portfolio, or they're finding it difficult to like structure all their work together, or they don't really have enough work to say they want to add in their portfolio, or they don't remember, okay, how do they put it all together? And that's why we're here, where I'll be taking you through. So just a quick one, but do you know that you can build a portfolio website for free without spending a dime? And what a lot of people, when I remember when I launched my website, danieljeshegun.tech, and people were like messaging me that, oh, so how much did I spend? How much did I use for this? How much did I use for that? And I told them, I didn't spend anything. I didn't spend anything to work on it. Not because there is no money involved, but because I had access to tools and platforms that can do these things for free, right? So I'll be going into like intricate details of, okay, what exactly I did and how I did it. And for those that probably want to just check it out in the meanwhile, it's danieljeshegun.tech. Let me just type it in the chat, danieljeshegun.tech. And I decided to like do like a giveaway since we're talking about portfolio, right? So I just decided to do a giveaway, and I think I'll just do the giveaway to every single person, right? Since we're on the call, to everyone on the call, right? So I'll get into more details on the giveaway, right? So I said, do you know that you can build a portfolio website for free without spending a dime, right? Because people think that, oh, it's, you have to know how to code, you have to know how to design, and it's like you have to know how to do this. I mean, those things are good, right? But there are a lot of tools that are available at our disposition to, like, on the internet. And personally, I'm someone that loves access to tools, right? So I search actively on the internet to see like various tools that can enable me to get things done easily and faster without having to pay, right? I'm someone that probably doesn't pay for anything online, almost doesn't pay for anything online, right? So let's just go straight to it. So the first things first, first thing is you have to build your skill, right? And I know like probably a lot of us have passed this stage. We're already like developers, graphic designers, and all that. But some people are probably at the beginning stage. They're probably just trying to pivot into tech, and they're like, oh, where do I go into and all that? Because you can't have a portfolio without having the skills and working on things, right? So the first things first, I won't dwell on this because I'll go to the most important part. You have to build your skills, right? And building skill also in that you don't need to necessarily, because a lot of people in tech, right, or wanting to pivot into tech, think that they need to like pay for courses or they need to do this, do that, do that. The internet is free to all, and there are a lot of free resources on the net, right? So you have personally, I used YouTube to learn, right? And I think a whole lot of other people that were self-taught used YouTube to learn. The only issue with that using YouTube is that there's a lot of information overload on the net. So you yourself have to streamline what you're learning and make sure you're not learning like overboard, or make sure you're not tired of learning, because at some point when you're using YouTube to learn, it's the amount of information is too much. You just want to watch beginners, 15 minutes, how to start this, 15 minutes, or all those type of things, right? And it's a lot of stress, right? But then if you're able to structure it out, think about what you want to learn, think about work actively on projects, tailor what you want to learn, and just learn like small. It might be slow, but it's effective, and you're not spending anything to learn, right? And it takes a lot of grit to work on it. And I say, don't wait till you start getting referrals, right? So you don't need to like wait, because some people now, they are just waiting for jobs before they can like work on their portfolio. And the irony of things is that, look at it this way, but so it's just very ironic that let's say a job, like there's a job requirement says that you should like is an entry role and you should have like 2 years experience, and you have to submit your portfolio, right? And it's an entry role, so yeah, imagine like the job is an entry role, and you yourself need to have 2 years experience and probably submit your own portfolio. Now, what are you going to put in your portfolio if it's an entry role, but you're meant to like be starting out with that job? So that means they're expecting you to have had worked on projects before, or have a portfolio joined together where you have things together, even if it's an entry role. You find that even most intern opportunities, they still ask for CVs, they still ask for projects you've worked on, they still ask for all those things, and it's still an entry role, right? So I said, don't wait till you start getting referrals, and don't always be an enthusiast, right? So, I'm a tech enthusiast, I'm a UI UX enthusiast. Why can't you be the like skill itself, right? So that's first thing. Then let me go just run through it. The second one is actually actively building your portfolio, right? And in building your portfolio, there's one thing I used to tell people, that nobody knows the difference between a free and a paid project, right? So I just did this just like a layout. Let's say these 3 graphics are probably like 3 projects I've worked on. Now, when I'm presenting my portfolio to, let's say, a hiring manager or someone, and the person sees all my projects, it doesn't really, like, there's no free project stamped on it or paid project. This one was paid, this is how much they paid for it. It's not stamped on whatever I'm presenting to him. I'm presenting to him or her as these are the projects I've worked on. So even if there was at a point, I think 2 years ago, where like 80% of my portfolio projects were all free projects, like things that I volunteered to do, right? And eventually it started reducing, but like I started working on paid projects, and this one started like dominating like free projects. So I just drop off some of those free things. But if I didn't have those free projects I worked on, there will definitely be no way to get those paid projects, because the only way I can show that I can do something is by showing a particular project, right? So any work I've done, and if I'm waiting to get my first paid project, and that first paid project, to get it, I'll need to have worked on projects, then I'll just be stuck, right? So I said the simple act is to work on projects as much as possible, right? That no one knows the difference between your free and your paid project. Like, it's very simple. Nobody knows. So you see the first one, it was free, as I put it there. The second one is paid. The third one is free. And nobody literally knows. It's not written on it, right? So actively work on projects. And one thing is that people always ask, okay, so how can they work on projects and all that? Mostly like by volunteering. But check out platforms that like reach out to people. Oh, I want to work on this for you. I just reach out to people is very, very important. I'll just give an example, right? So while in school in 2020 during the COVID period, I was in school throughout COVID period, like when everybody was at home and all that. And I remember we worked on this particular project. So the video production project, where we just reach out to students so we just compiled like a video where we reach out to students and tell them that, oh, we miss you, where the top management staff, every single person is talking in the video and say, okay, we miss you. And initially the concept of the video was just, in fact, how I even got into the whole scenario was, I did not understand. I was in school, yes, position like I was in school, right? And one of my mentors just reached out to me. I was like, oh, school wants to work on something. Can you just help them out? It's just like a 5 minutes video. Me, I thought it was a 5 minutes video. It turned to like a 2 weeks full project. We did drone shots of the entire school. There was budget. They bought a new laptop that I worked on. They bought a whole lot of things. And truth be told, they didn't pay me for that project. But the amount of benefit I got after that project was massive, right? That was kind of like a breaking point for me, right? Because it was affiliation with, okay, Covenant University, oh, big university and all that. And eventually, still that COVID period, I worked on another video with Coursera, right? That Coursera put on their own platform for Coursera and Covenant partnership, right? And that's the whole point of it. So if I was waiting for, my mentor to call me and be like, oh, there's this, because he just told me, oh, just work on this. Like, definitely I knew it was for free. So I just volunteered and I said, okay, no problem, I'll work on it. I remember I spent like 5 days editing the video without like sleeping for like up to 2 hours per day, right? And I'm just eating bread, morning, bread, night. I'll just sleep back, wake up like 2 hours after and continue editing, right? And the tenacity I used to work on that project, right, was as much as the tenacity I used to work on a paid project. At that time, I wasn't really getting much paid project. That was when I was just entering into like getting paid gigs and all that, right? But then through that project, now I put it out as my work and nobody knows that I did this thing for free. The way they will see it, because they're seeing drone shots, they are seeing like, because the entire school was shot like with drone, every single place in the entire school. We went out everywhere, they took drone shots of the entire school, even Kenaland and all that, right? So normally you would think that, oh, this guy got like a very big gig to work on. You wouldn't know that is a free project, right? So no one knows the difference between your paid and free work. So when there's an opportunity to like work on a free project, just take it up, right? Just take it up, right? So there's the first part of it is building your skills, then working on project. Then there's a point where you can now monetize, right? And it's now how you build your portfolio. Going to the next one, right? So, sorry. So rebuilding your portfolio, you have to put your work out there, right? You have to put your work out there. And I give 3 use case, right? So the first one is LinkedIn, Notion. Second one is Notion. Third one is like web page. And there are a lot. I just did like 3. So like there are a whole lot, right? You can put your work out there on Instagram, Twitter, a whole lot of social media platforms, even like third party. And third one I put is like a web page, which is, I just put like a screen snip of my website, right? And before I got to the website, I've already had like my portfolio in a way that it wasn't really like a web page, for example, right? But then I had some of my works there and just put them. In fact, I started out with Google Drive. So just putting my videos, some of those things there, then now like transitioned over time, right? But putting your work out there is very important. And putting your work out there, you have to understand the platform you're using. So in a certain platform, you have to know, okay, what type of audience is in these platforms, right? What type of, for example, LinkedIn, what type of audience? I think it's LinkedIn I got my first job from. What type of audience is in this platform? And how? Because I remember, not like how LinkedIn is right now. I mean, LinkedIn is already turning to another thing. But I think we all get the gist of, putting, LinkedIn is kind of like a professional workspace where like a corporate work setting, where it's not necessarily a social media platform, but more of like a professional workplace. And that's where you see your profile, you can put out your work in your, make use of the featured section, because featured section kind of like, so, okay, these are the works you have done. So in my featured section, you see a lot of my projects that I've done over time. So when people view my LinkedIn profile, because I've optimized it, right, and they see my works out there, they reach out. Before, I remember those periods when I used to get like a lot of referrals on LinkedIn, right? And people just reach out, I just saw your LinkedIn profile and I'm working on this project, can work on it. That's the benefit of building your portfolio and putting your work out there on LinkedIn, right? Eventually you can grow and structure everything, then like get a website, but you don't have to wait till you get a website, a domain name and all those other things, right? Before saying, I want to put my work out there. Some people try, and I said, understanding your audience, right? So I said, I know LinkedIn is more professional. I really rarely put my work on Instagram, right? I'm not saying Instagram is not good. Understand your particular audience. That Instagram will be much more better for like creatives and those ones in people into content creation and more of those like Gen Z hyped things, right? So you have influencers over there, right? But then I knew my market and I knew the type of audience I wanted to reach out to, right? So it doesn't need to be all the platforms. And recently I just started trying out Twitter, and I just realized that Twitter, as much as okay, it's not like a structured this thing like LinkedIn and all that, but Twitter actually, with Twitter, you can actually be in like communities, like with the people that you follow, right? And they actually reach out to, like, you can easily get jobs on Twitter too, right? So putting your work out there is very important, because now in putting your work out there, you're kind of like branding yourself. It's kind of like a brand image of, okay, see what people perceive you as, so that they don't just go to your Instagram profile, your Instagram page, and you are a graphic designer or you are a web dev, and they are just seeing pictures, just pictures. Then like, I don't know what you do. I don't really know what you do. So I go to your LinkedIn profile and there's really no even work experience of what you've done. You don't even need to have a work experience on your LinkedIn profile. Volunteering services, that's why I said initially. So there was a point where my LinkedIn was just full of volunteer experiences. Then as I started getting gigs, then the work experience starts getting 1, 2, 3, 4, and getting like talk stuff like that, right? So you do not need to wait till you have this perfect full website that is working functionally and all that. And I still remember the period when I was working on my website, just because I started working on it last year, just December, and I just took like a month to just fine tune everything, get everything ready, and launch it like January this year, January. And I remember that period, a friend of mine was also wanted to work on, I think after that, a friend of mine wanted to work on his website, and he told me, he has budgeted, I think it was a digital, it was an affiliate marketer, right? And told me he budgeted like 300K to work on it. I was like, oh, wow, 300K. They say he's going to give it to, I think he had someone, like a friend, that was going to do everything for him. And I'm like, it's not like it's a bad idea or it's not a good thing. I mean, the friend he is using is definitely getting money from it, right? But I was just looking at him like, if you knew, but at least had an idea of how to find your way around these things. You probably don't spend up to that, right? So people that are always complaining of cost and all that, there's really no need to. So that's why I'm going over this, right? And as I said, I'll do a giveaway at the end, and I'll do it for everyone. So let me just give details of it. So what I want everyone to do is, I would want us to head over to Evanto element, right? And Evanto element is kind of like the largest. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
The Evanto element is like the largest would I say creative, where you have unlimited stock videos, photos, web presentation, graphic templates, presentation templates, WordPress, 3D, royalty-free music, fonts, and all that. So I'm going to give every single person, sorry, I'm making the chat. Okay, I'm going to give every single person like one free portfolio.
Sorry, Mr. Wale, please could you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
So I'm going to give everyone,
Thank you.
like every single person on this call, one free portfolio, right? So what you just do is send me a message on Telegram, right? And I would like download it for you. Like it can be a pro because there's pricing on this, and so probably, and I have access to like the premium for Evanto Element. So just search for, how to search for it is probably you head over to what I say, web template. Okay, yes, it's meant to be in web template. So you can just search for, okay, this web template here, looking for it. Yeah, so just search for portfolio. So you search for portfolio, then anyone you like, any design and all that you like, right? So even if you don't know how to code, right, you can probably just, since when I download it, you can probably now speak to one of your friends that code and just tell them, okay, you already have a template on ground. You just want to edit it and work on it. So you would see this various templates. You see this one, CV portfolio, creative portfolio, and all that, right? So I'll give it every single person one of these web templates for free. Experiment, right? And experimenting is kind of like just, so for me personally, I just go online and search for that. I have access to quite a number of tools that help me in my day-to-day, like running of anything I want to do, right? So experimenting is kind of like platforms that make you, like platforms that can give you access to jobs easily. Just search for them. I know some cliche ones like, oh, we know about Freelancer, we know about Upwork, right? And some of them might not really be that, like some of us don't know because of our, like generally, Nigerians are not really trusted on such platforms. So a newbie going into those platforms, and even if he puts his work out, like puts his work and show clients and everything, most of the time because of the way the platforms are, and also they are overly saturated, right? But still, there are still a whole lot of other platforms like to experiment on, right? So I have 8 minutes left. So I'll just watch. So we have Indeed, we have Telegram, as I mentioned, LinkedIn also. Those are platforms that you can experiment to get gigs, right? So I said Indeed, Telegram. And when I say Telegram, a lot of people will be like, how Telegram, right? But I recall, I think, was it last year or 2 years ago? At that time, that was like my highest paid job, right? And how did I get access to it? This random group chat on Telegram, an international, like a freelancing group chat on Telegram. And someone just put up a post of, okay, can anyone do this and mention this? I was like, oh, no, I reached out to the person, did like a structured message, put my portfolio. And at that time, I didn't even have my website because that was like 2 years ago. As at that time, I didn't have my website. So I just put like list, I had all my things in Google Drive, right? Some of the videos I've worked on and all, since it was relating to video. So I just put that there and all, and structured a message and sent it to the guy. And apparently the guy was from China, and it was like, oh, he loved my work. And that was like the least amount of, that was my most paid job at that time. I think it was about $1,500. And it took me the least amount of stress to work on it. And I was like, wow. So I started continued experimenting, right? So I just continue experimenting. It can be any platform. I just go online, search, right? Search. And as long as you put your work out there, you know how to structure, okay, reach out to people, have like structured messages, have, okay, hello, hi, man. I have some in my this thing. I'll probably send it to over time, like eventually I'll send it. Right. So have structured messages, how you reach out to hiring managers, how you communicate, how you do some certain things. It's very, very important. But it really, really helps to know. So let's just go straight next to um um leverage. And I don't want to talk much on this because I want to go straight to like the whole breakdown of my portfolio, right? But it's very important to document your learning processes, right? Because as you document, your portfolio is kind of like just here, but then as people see what you do, and as people like interact with your like, for example, you post on LinkedIn, right? So someone just goes, likes your post, sees your post, and is like, oh, I like this, and goes and checks your profile. You've led the person to your portfolio. Randomly, some people actually just scout for people. I remember I've gotten like various mails. I've gotten like, I remember a mail I got, and the guy was like, oh, I saw your profile on, I think it's the co-founder of one company, and I can't remember what company. I think it's in US or UK, right? And it was just like, oh, I just saw your profile on. And since my website was like, I had my mail and everything, so he just sent me mail directly. I was like, oh, hello, Daniel, I'm reaching out because I just saw your website and I really love what you do, blah, 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 blah. And that's how we started talking, and eventually like we're working together, right? So I'm sure he didn't just see my website like that. Like, oh, you don't just type danieljeshegun.tech. It's not possible, right? There's something that definitely led him to see it. And that's why I said document your learning processes, right? So even if you're working on a gig right now, you're working on a project right now, put up a post, right? Post it out. I remember this is not probably related to documenting your learning processes, but I remember, so I just currently finished serving as the chairman student council in Covenant University, like last year to this year, July or so. And I remember I had my introduction speech with me, but I only posted it on LinkedIn and I think on Instagram, right? But then I just started getting familiar with Twitter. I just, okay, at the end of my tenure, I'll post the introduction speech and just write like just something about it. And okay, that is the end of my tenure. That thank God for the entire, we're able to achieve a lot and everything. And when I posted it on Twitter, I remember, I think I had about a reach of, I had a reach of, like about 54,000. I had a reach of like 54,000 people, and about 2 or 3 CEOs that I've been trying to reach out to. All right, so I had a reach of about, I can't remember, I think about 54,000, and 3 CEOs that I've been trying to reach out to, like just commented randomly because they saw it on their timeline, and you know the whole Twitter algorithm and all that. And they were like, oh, I love this, I love your eloquence, and this. Immediately, I slided into their DM, right? And we got talking, right? So it's very important to, and from that, they got to know, okay, this is what I'm doing. So even in that, even if it's just counsel, I could link it up to what I do and what I'm currently doing, right? So documenting your processes is very, very, very important, right?
I'm taking you through the practical breakdown of how I created my website for free, right? But apart from being for free, just the practical breakdown, okay, how to create a portfolio website and launch it online, right? So let's just get straight to it. So my portfolio website is danieljeshegun.tech, and I used to consider it as there are 3 things when you're creating a portfolio website. The first thing you have is the development part of it, which is the design, front end, and back end. Sometimes most of the 3 of them are like the development part, which is the first part of it, is joined together. Some people get templates, and which is what I did, because you necessarily don't need to start coding from scratch, right? While some people want it to be unique and would prefer to code from scratch, but if you have the skill set to run that, then why not go ahead, right? So I would prefer using a template which has already done the development, the front end and back end. And the templates where I get my templates from is Envato Element, right? So I just head over to Envato Element, and because I have a premium version of Envato Element, right? So which is why I'm giving like every person that like attended this class, one template so that you can use it for your portfolio, right? So head over to portfolio. I just search for portfolio in web templates, and I'll show you where I got this particular template, right? So you would see a lot of them. You can choose anyone, search for you can see them. Very, very creative portfolio. Some of them are in HTML and CSS, while some of them are WordPress, some of them are depending on like the skill set you want to use, right? So I'm looking for the one I use. This is looking very nice. This is also looking very nice. All right, so mine should be somewhere around. Okay, yes. All right. So searching for them. So you see this one, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So where's the live preview? Okay, so this is live preview. Just check it out, and you can see how sweet it is. This looks amazing. I feel like this is even way better than mine, but I'm not gonna change mine anytime soon, right? But because I love the design, so this looks amazing, right? What people say. You can see that. Imagine I'm going to start from scratch doing the design in Figma or Adobe XD, doing the front end, doing the back end, when this is already here, right? In fact, there are much more. So let's just look at it. All right, so you have, okay, I don't think this is functioning well. So let's just go to this other one. And you can also see my own. So my own was like a package. Yes, so this is mine. Mine, this is the one I used. Right, so you can see that it's the same thing, exact same thing. Right, so that's the first step. The first step is getting your development part set, which is your front end, back end, and your design. Right, so design front end and back end, and you can get it for free on Envato Elements. Right, if you have a premium like Envato Elements listing, I think it's about $5 or $10 per month, but because I have access to the premium one for free, so I'm able to get it. That one will be spoken about later. And the when you access the template, you can now do your own editing and all that, so changing all these pictures and everything, and that will be taken in the professional class, where I'll take more on the HTML, like editing the HTML, going deep again in editing a template, or using what tools you use to edit and how to do it faster and better, right? So that you don't get stuck in, because it's one thing to have a template on ground, it's another thing to know how to use the template, right? So you don't have unnecessary things in your portfolio, right? So in the paid class, I will be taking much more in depth of creating, like we'll take a use case, would actually work on one particular portfolio, editing it to my style, anyone's, like the what I want it to be, and getting the best out of the portfolio, right? So that is the first thing, right? And the second thing, right, out of the three things you need would be the domain name, right? And in the domain name, I used GitHub Student Developer Pack. So GitHub Student Developer Pack came in, I can't remember when it came in, but it's been around for like 3 years. Yes, I think during the COVID period, that's when they started GitHub Student Developer Pack. And I remember when it came out, I saw a lot of packages. We had Canva Pro for 1 year, we had Icons 8, we had AWS, we had Microsoft Azure, we had a lot of, look at Microsoft Namecheap, 1 year domain name with the .me, TLD, DigitalOcean, majorly for developers. But then there's still a few things that designers, there's the, you see the aspiring creatives, you see the intro to web dev, you see the creatives, web development, virtual events, and hackathon in the cloud. So all these rights have various benefits. But so you see free access to 25 plus Microsoft Azure cloud services plus $100 in Azure, 1 year domain name, which is what we're going into with the .me TLD on name.com with .live. So which one you ever you want to use? I use .tech. So you see the .tech 1 year domain, one standard .tech domain for free for 1 year, and 2 free email accounts with 100 MB free storage. Right, then you have name.com, build your online presence with a free .live domain name, free protections and free SSL certificate. Right, then this 1 year domain name registration.me. So we can see that there are a lot of benefits here. So currently I'm using the tech domain, and I think it's going to expire next year, January. Right, so that's very close. I've been using it for a year now, and I can confidently say that because of like easier access, right, danijashek.tech, it has actually helped out. So next year I can afford to pay, but for this year, if you are on a low budget and you just want to get your website out without stressing yourself or spending any amount or spending much, right? So you can use this for a year, and that's enough to get you on your feet, right? So you would sign in. It will ask for your, but the thing about GitHub Send Developer Pack is that it's for students. So if you're a student or you went to a university or you graduated from university and you still have access to your student email, that's all you need for the GitHub Send Developer Pack, right? So you need to have access to a student email. So email goes like .edu. If it's Nigeria.edu.ng at something your school.edu.ng, right? So if you also have friends, let's say you don't have a student email or your school did not give you student email, you can ask friends that are probably not even into coding or design, and like have access to their student email and just use it for yourself, right? Just ask anyone you have around you that probably has a student email and doesn't know about this or doesn't use this, and just like speak about it to them so that you can have access to it, right? So that's for the domain name. And then the last one is for the hosting, right? So for hosting I use Netlify, right? So Netlify gives free hosting. Let me Netlify gives free hosting majorly for Netlify is majorly for front end. So like when you don't have any functionality in your app or whatever you want to host on the web, if it doesn't really have like backend functionality, then Netlify is your go-to free hosting platform. So I don't have any issue using Netlify because it's just straight to the point. I connect it to my GitHub. So when I was done with my portfolio page, I just put it up like on my GitHub repository. Then after that, linked it up to my Netlify. So from the Netlify, you can see I have it here, right? Then now linked up my domain name with like that's the injection.tech. This is the actual one, but I linked up my domain name with Netlify, with the this thing on my Netlify. So it kind of like just links up, and anything I update on my GitHub, for my GitHub, it updates directly on my Netlify. Right. So the first thing is the design development, which is design, front end and back end. And that one, if you have a template, it's easier to work with. You just edit it with your HTML or CSS, JavaScript, anyone you're using. Then the next one is your domain name, and I've shown you how to get at least 1 year free domain name. I mean, you have .me, .live, and .tech for free for 1 year here in GitHub Send Developer Pack. Now the last one is hosting, and there are a lot of free hosting services, but I use Netlify because it's easier and faster to deploy. Right, so that's basically all for my practical breakdown.
Right. It might be like a big deal when it's out there, but eventually when you know the amount of like when you know okay what went into like working on it and all that from the back end part, you think, oh, this guy must have spent a lot of money this guy, because the way I even branded, I remember I did countdown on my social platforms and just countdown, 3, 2, 1. Did it with nice Canva templates and all, and counted down to the launch and just launched it. And at that period, from that time, at least for the first month, I had a lot of people reaching out, right? So those things just package the work that you have already done, right? So getting a portfolio like a website and all, but there are already existing platforms that can help you, tools that can help you. I remember I just took a class today. In fact, it's the same slides I used for this class, where I just changed some things. So I took a class for like teachers, and like underprivileged communities, where, so I just told them like various tools they can use to make their teaching easy, to make some of their things easy, right? And I remember when I was going through the unique tech tools, we have setjar.com. These little things are things that can like help your day-to-day running. And I have a whole lot of websites that I just have in my cover where, okay, if I want to work on anything, I want to change this, I want to work on this. A normal thing that, oh, you'd have thought you pay for them, right? You can do on like all for free. You have this helps me with editing my PDF. I have, Video is definitely known, but 123apps.com. You have video tools, audio tools, PDF tools, a lot of tools, right? Conversion, a lot, compression. This one, because I was talking to teachers, leadsolutions.org, can get any textbook solutions, right? So you just put name and very pointed Homeworkify. I remember during my undergraduate days, I used to use this for getting all answers to all my Chegg answers, Chegg, course hero, and all that. Just put the link on Chegg and it gives you. So these tools are available, right, already on the net, but you actually have to dig in to look for them. The same way you have with like building your portfolio and putting your work out there. There's like a gap between the skills and the companies, the employers, managers, hiring managers, and all that. And bridging the gap, you have to actively like search and actively like leverage on platforms, experiment up and down, search for platforms, try it out. If it doesn't work, go to another platform, work it out, right? So I'll be dropping much more details like on some of the platforms I use and all that. So that's more or less like the end of the class. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can probably ask them now.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel, for everything that you shared. It was a very nice and inspiring session. While we're asking and dropping our questions, if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the chat now, and we'll quickly run through them. But then I just felt I should just share some other, because like I feel even as much as some of us are interested in like having like a website for ourselves, but then it might be difficult for some of us to find that developer friend that could like just kind of do some tweaks for us and all that, and we just want to at least start off somewhere. So I felt like giving some other options that at least that I'm familiar with from my own experience as a designer as well. So aside from Instagram and Twitter, which is social media in general, which is I feel like it's very important, right? There's also two platforms that I know of: squarespace.com and Behance. So Squarespace is a website as well, but it's a no-code website. But then the only thing about it is that like in the link you have squarespace.com at the end of it. So if you don't want that, then probably Daniel's option will be the best. But if you can at least just have that start with and just kind of get accustomed to your website feel and all of that, squarespace.com is a very good idea. Then you can also try editorx.com as well, though that one is a little bit more complex, but it works as well. Then Behance is the easiest.
Yeah.
Like Behance is the easiest. And because Behance also has like its own how would I call it now, ecosystem, like it's like a social media platform plus a portfolio. So your works are actually shown to other Behance users and people that have Behance accounts. So like you can actually get jobs from Behance as well. So those are two other websites. And I think that we should also like Daniel mentioned, he started with Google Drive. So I feel like we should not underestimate Google Drive, PDFs, Word files, because like those are like the humble beginnings. So like that's like a very good place to like start. like if you're like still upcoming as a designer, you're not like really an expert yet, right? So like putting together a PDF on Canva, and like thing is, if you go through Daniel's portfolio, you have like a breakdown of what should actually be on your portfolio. So you can actually just go to his portfolio and like just copy and say, okay, this is what I'll put for like maybe page 1, page 2, like that, and just arrange your works and like arrange your experience, work experience and all that into a PDF using Canva. That would like help things out. So I said, let me just mention those ones that I know as well. So I'm going to check now, see if we have any questions. We think that we don't have any questions yet. So while we're still waiting, I would like to also, I think, Daniel, you might have to make me host again, or just give me permission to share my screen.
Oh,
I just want to talk a little bit about Ganeta Art School and some of the other things that you can benefit. So a lot of things that Daniel has in stock to actually give you guys, everybody's going to get them. So Ganeta Art School is a school of creativity, and we basically help designers in all fields of design to basically up and develop their skills. And we have a lot of tutors that are available to give free classes, paid courses as well, and also free resources, right? So everybody that's interested in any of the resources that Daniel has mentioned, list of tools, also has to get the Evanto website to have your own personal website easily and for free. Just send an email to ganetaartschool@gmail.com and just basically just indicate that you're interested, and then we'll gather everyone together and send like a general email to everyone that is interested. Also, we have a course that is coming up on portfolio building that it's a paid course and it's more practical, because obviously like that whole HTML part, the little code part can be, I mean, I'm sure that some of us here would like to learn that. Me, I would like to learn that. So yeah, so we have a paid course coming up where Daniel was going to like take you through the practical and like as we've learned today. So I think with that being said, that will be the end of today's class. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Okay, someone said awesome session, Daniel. Daniel did a great job. Yes, he did a great job. So thank you everyone for being here with us. Good night, everyone. Bye.